What's up, everybody? This is Big Sarge back with another video. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the 14U MOS, also known as the Air Defense Artillery Recruit, in case this is what you want to do if you decide to join the United States Army. So let's get into it. When most people think about the Army, they picture tanks rolling across the battlefield, infantry soldiers patrolling the streets, or helicopters buzzing overhead. But one of the most important jobs in the Army just happens to be above everybody's head out there in the skies. And that's where the Air Defense Artillery branch comes in. And at the very foundation of the branch is the 14 Uniform MOS, also known as the Air Defense Artillery Recruit. And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what the 14 Uniform MOS is, what soldiers in this role actually do, what their training looks like, career opportunities inside and outside of the Army, and whether it might be a good fit for someone considering the military. So with that being said, let's go. All right, so exactly what is the 14 Uniform MOS? So the 14 Uniform, this is officially called the Air Defense Artillery Recruit, but what exactly does that mean? Well, put simply, this is the entry-level MOS for anyone entering the Air Defense Artillery career field. It's a feeder MOS, meaning you won't spend your entire career as a 14 uniform. Instead, it's the MOS assigned to recruits until they move on to a more specific ADA job, such as 14 Echo, which is the Patriot Fire Control Enhanced Operator Maintainer. You got the 14 Tango, this is the Patriot Launching Station Enhanced Operator Maintainer. The 14 Golf, this is the Air Defense Battle Management Systems Operator. You got 14 Hotel, this is the Air Defense Enhanced Early Warning System Operator. And you got 14 Papa, this is the Air and Missile Defense Crew Member. So basically, think of 14U as the starting point. Is where you enter the ADA branch, learn the ropes, and then get slotted into a more specialized role, depending on the Army's needs and your abilities. Why does the Army actually need air defense artillery? Well, modern warfare isn't just about boots on the ground. The skies are just as dangerous, maybe even more so. You got drones, you got aircraft, helicopters, and ballistic missiles that can wreak havoc on troops and bases if left unchecked. And that's where ADA comes in. Soldiers in this branch, they operate some of the most advanced systems in the military. We're talking radar, missiles, and command centers designed to detect, track, and destroy incoming aerial threats before they can hurt U.S. forces. So in short, the ADA keeps the skies clear. All right, next let's talk about the role of a 14 uniform soldier. So because 14 uniform is technically a recruit MOS, your role will most likely involve training and preparation for a more specific ADA MOS. But here's what you could generally expect. So obviously you're going to go off to basic training. So like all soldiers, you're going to go through 10 weeks of basic combat training, where you're going to learn how to march, shoot, and work as a team and handle the physical and mental challenges of Army life. After that, you're going to get shipped off to AIT, or Advanced Individual Training, which takes place at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, which is the home of the Air Defense Artillery Branch. And once you get there, you're going to be there for about 10 weeks to several months, depending upon your specific ADA MOS that you will be assigned to. Also, while you're there, you're going to be learning about ADA systems. So you're going to start learning on the big ticket systems like the Patriot missile system, which is used for high altitude, long range threats, the Avenger missile system, which is a mobile short range air defense system, and radar and battle management systems that track incoming aircraft or missiles. In your day-to-day Army life as an ADA soldier, you're going to be out there conducting equipment checks and maintenance, monitoring radar screens for aerial activity, practicing missile loading drills, training in field environments, setting up and moving air defense systems, and working with other branches like the Air Force and Navy, since ADA is often part of joint operations. So basically, as a 14 uniform, you're preparing to defend U.S. forces against aerial attacks. All right, and speaking of training, let's talk a little bit more about training, because it is a big part of your 14 uniform experience. So like I stated earlier, you're going to go to basic training like every other MOS does, and this is 10 weeks long. You're going to be out there doing a whole bunch of running, push-ups, and ruck marches. You're going to learn how to fire your M4 rifle. You're going to do teamwork drills and tactical exercises. And you're going to learn about some good old Army values, discipline, and resilience. Now, all of this is tough, but it is designed to turn you from a civilian into a soldier. And then there's AIT, So after basic training, you're going to head off to Fort Sill, Oklahoma. And here's where you're going to transition from being just a soldier to becoming an air defender. And the length of your AIT is going to depend upon which ADA MOS that you get assigned to. Some of these AIT courses are as short as 10 weeks and others are 20 plus weeks long. And the curriculum that you're going to learn is going to involve identifying enemy aircraft and missiles, operating radar systems, loading and firing missile systems, working in command and control centers, and maintaining and troubleshooting ADA equipment. And by the end of AIT, you will have a specialized ADA MOS, like either you become a 14 Echo or a 14 Tango or something like that. All right, next, let's talk about some of the skills that you're going to learn as a 14 uniform. So here's a quick breakdown of these skills that you're going to learn in the ADA branch. You got technical skills. Like I stated earlier, you're going to be operating radar, missile launchers, and battle management systems. You're going to develop some mechanical skills where you're performing maintenance and troubleshooting on advanced electronic systems. You're going to learn some tactical skills where you're going to learn how to move, set up, and operate ADA systems in combat zones. There's teamwork and communication, because ADA units that rely heavily on communication since they coordinate with air and ground defenses. And you're going to learn about attention to detail. So in air defense, remember, a single mistake, this could mean letting an enemy missile slip through. So while 14 uniform starts broad, it builds a foundation for highly technical, mission critical work. All right, next, let's talk about career progression in the Army as a 14 uniform. So a lot of recruits, they do wonder if they start as a 14 uniform, where do they go from there? So here's a general path. So one, you have your initial assignment, and this is where you're going to enlist as a 14 uniform and then go through and complete all of that training we talked about earlier. So once you finish AIT, you will be reclassed into one of the more specific ADA MOSs, like 14 Echo, 14 Tango, 14 Golf, etc. You're going to have some promotion opportunities. So as you gain experience, you can move up the ranks, taking on leadership roles in ADA units. There's going to be opportunities for you to do some cross training. So some soldiers, they eventually cross train into other MOSs or apply for specialized schools like Airborne, Air Assault, Ranger, etc. And then there's going to be some officer opportunities. So if you decide to pursue college and apply for OCS or officer candidate school, you could become an ADA officer. So in short, 14 uniform is not where you end, it is where you begin. All right, next, let's talk about some civilian career opportunities. So another question that a lot of people ask is, will this MOS help them get a job after the Army? The answer is yes, but there are some caveats. So the ADA field is highly technical, but not every civilian job uses missile systems. However, the skills that you learn, like electronics, radar, system maintenance, computer operations, those specific skills can translate into industries like air traffic control, radar technician, electronics and communications, defense contracting, where you're working for companies like Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, or Northrop Grumman. Then you have IT and networking, since ADA systems involve a lot of computer work. Plus the discipline, leadership, and security clearance that you could earn in the ADA could open doors to government jobs. All right, next, let's talk about what it's like to be a 14 uniform soldier. So here's where it gets real. So this is what the lifestyle actually looks like. So there's location. So ADA units, they are often stationed in key locations like Fort Bliss out in Texas, Fort Sill in Oklahoma, and overseas in places like Germany, South Korea, and the Mideast. And the reason why, because these are strategic spots where air defense is critical. You're going to spend a lot of time in the field. So you're going to be out there setting up systems, pulling security, and practicing drills. This MOS is high stakes. So when you're on duty, you're watching radar systems or maintaining systems that can literally stop an incoming missile. So this is not a boring job. And you're going to find yourself deployed. So ADA soldiers, they do deploy. So if there's a hot spot where U.S. forces need protection from aerial threats, ADA units are often among the first to go. So basically, this job is a mix of high-tech work, physical field duty, and global travel. All right, next, let's talk about the pros and cons of the 14 uniform MOS. So remember, there is no perfect job. So here are the pros and cons of this MOS. So the pros are, you're going to get to work with cutting edge technology where you'll be working with some of the most advanced defense systems in the world. This MOS is critical to the mission, so ADA is one of the most important branches because it protects troops from aerial attacks. They're going to have global assignments, so there will be opportunities to be stationed overseas in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. You're going to develop some civilian skills like learning about electronics, radar, and IT experience, and all of that can transfer well into civilian jobs. And then there is a clear career path. So 14 uniform, it does set you up for multiple specialized MOS options. Now, here are the cons of this job. So remember, this is not your final MOS. 14 uniform is just a starting point, and your actual job will depend upon the needs of the Army. There is a high degree of responsibility because there's a lot of pressure that comes with defending troops from aerial threats. There's a lot of field time, so expect long hours, deployments, and tough training environments. There is a limited direct civilian equivalent for this job in the civilian world. Now, while your skills can transfer, just remember there isn't a missile launcher operator job in the civilian world. So you'll be launching missiles in the Army, but to my knowledge, there isn't a company outside of a government contractor that launches missiles on a regular basis or at all. All right, so let's talk about who should consider the 14 uniform MOS. So if you're trying to decide if 14 uniform is right for you, go ahead and ask yourself these questions. Do you enjoy working with technology and electronics? Can you handle high pressure, mission critical responsibilities? Are you okay with the idea of deployments and possibly being stationed overseas? And do you want to be in a branch that directly impacts the safety of U.S. forces? If your answer to all of those questions is yes, then the 14 uniform MOS might be a great fit for you. All right, so let me go ahead and wrap all this up. The U.S. Army 14 Uniform MOS, or the Air Defense Artillery Recruit, this is not a permanent job title. It's the gateway into one of the Army's most high-tech mission-critical branches. From there, soldiers, they branch into specialized ADA roles that operate the systems protecting troops from aircraft, drones, and missiles. Now, it's not for everyone because it's demanding, technical, and sometimes stressful. But if you're looking for an MOS that combines technology, global opportunities, and a mission that truly matters, the 14 uniform is a solid place to start. And at the end of the day, ADA soldiers, they are the guardians of the skies, and that's something worth being proud of.